Hi, I'm Nicki Fitz-Gerald and welcome to AdoramaTV. Today we're going to talk about the basics of iPhoneography.
AdoramaTV presents iPhoneography with Nicki Fitz-Gerald.
Hi, I'm Nicki Fitz-Gerald and I'm one of the founding members of the iPhoneography movement, which started around 2008. It started for me when I got my first iPhone, my iPhone 3GS. I started taking a few shots and I could not believe the quality and the incredible beauty that was coming out of this magic device. I wanted to share this with the world, so I started my own website about 4 years ago, and someone contacted me and we wrote a book together just last year promoting this wonderful tool. I went on to take more pictures and enter competitions, and my work has now been featured all over the world in exhibitions and galleries. It's absolutely amazing what you can do with this device. I use the photos in both my professional work and my personal work. The quality is that good and it's that easy to do. I want to share this with you. I've started sharing it in my teaching work, which I've done recently as well. And people are really enthusiastic to learn and they're quick to learn. I hope you're going to do this too with these fantastic episodes of Introduction to iPhone Photography. So today we're going to talk about the basics of iPhoneography. But before we do that, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the latest iPhone 5S, which is a spectacular mobile device and a stunning camera to take brilliant photographs. The latest iPhone 5, it has a sensor measuring 1.5 microns. That's a 15% increase on its predecessor. And it has an f2.2 aperture, which is huge. The iPhone 5S features a fantastic function called the auto image stabilization function. This means if your camera is slightly shaking or there's a vibration around, you won't get any blur. It will be a fantastic clear shot every time. The camera has come a long way since the early days of iPhone photography. It really is hard to take a bad photo with the iPhone 5S. I'm going to show you some of the basics of iPhoneography. They're very simple to use. My favourite app is Pro Camera. The reason why I like this app is it has a separate focus and exposure control, which means you have a lot more control over your photograph. You might even have this in your camera app at the moment, either on your iPhone or your smartphone. So let's have a look at the camera settings. The first thing you need to consider is the aspect ratio. Now the aspect ratio is just a posh term for basically the size of your frame. So whether you want a long frame, possibly for a landscape, or maybe a square frame for a portrait, or maybe an abstract photograph. I tend to use the long frame because I tend to take a lot of landscape shots. The second thing you need to consider is composition. And there's a great little feature in here that gives you the grids of the rule of thirds, which helps you break up the composition into thirds and position your subject in a better way. And this will really make your photographs have a lot of impact. The third thing is my favourite, it's the focus and exposure. There's two little tools that separate, one focus and one for exposure. And the focus one you can drag along and focus on your subject to make it really, really sharp. The exposure tool you can drag into light areas and dark areas of your image to really control how dark and how light your photograph is. The last thing you really must consider before you take a shot is the resolution of your camera settings. Now all this is checking into your resolution settings and making sure they're the highest resolution. This could be a TIFF or a JPEG, but just go into the settings and have a look and you'll see there's set it at the highest one. Why do we need it at the highest settings? Because when we've taken our picture, we print it out, and we find it's a tiny little bitmap JPEG picture, it won't look any good. So you need to have it at the highest resolution so you can blow it up to a great big shot. And believe me, these little cameras, you can take professional quality, beautiful photographs, providing you have it on that highest resolution. So how do we take a good photograph with an iPhone? Well, it's the same way you take a good photograph with any camera really. You need to learn some good, solid photography skills. And the first of these is composition. No matter how many apps you have, you can't make a bad photograph good. Learn some good composition skills and your photographs will just fall into place.
Hi, Nicki Fitz-Gerald here for Adorama. Be sure to check out Adorama's latest contest to win prizes.
So here we are standing in front of this beautiful view in sunny Weymouth of the sea and the sky on this beautiful sunny day. And our first instinct is to take a shot, get the camera, point and shoot. And what we've done there is take a great picture, but it's not that fantastic. The horizon is right in the middle of the shot, which is quite boring for the eye. So what we can do is we can use our rule of thirds to actually make this photograph more interesting. Now, the rule of thirds basically is the frame split into 3 horizontal thirds and 3 vertical thirds. And these thirds are divided by thin intersecting lines. Now, we can bring our camera up, but the sky is very boring and we don't want all that sky in there. So let's bring it down and put the top line on the sky horizon, and then we've got much more interesting mass in the lower half of the photograph, and we've cut out some of that dull, flat sky. Now, I think that makes a much more interesting photograph, but we can go one step further again. We can actually use the vertical thirds to introduce a subject and make this a much more interesting shot. Okay, so we've got the bottom line lined up with the horizon. Let's move that down again to get rid of that sky. So we've got the top line aligned with the horizon. We've got all this sort of dead space in front. Now, if we get our subject matter to walk into the frame and then snap right on when he's walking into the first vertical intersecting line. And now you can see that's a much more interesting photograph. Okay, we're down on the beach, and what better, more fun thing to do than make a sandcastle. It's one of my favourite things to do while I'm down here. And I want to take a photograph. I'm really, really proud of this. So I'm going to point my camera, I'm going to get it right in the middle because it's the centre of my interest, and I'm going to click it on the screen, and there I've got a picture of my sandcastle. But it looks a little sad all in the middle of the frame, and I'm sure there must be something more interesting we can do with this. Let's take a look. I come around this side and I see the sun is shining right down on my sandcastle, lighting it up in all its glory. As I come down lower, I see some people in the background, and they really add a bit of colour to my photograph. But it's my sandcastle, that's the main subject. I want to get that in, most of all. So I come in close, I get in really close, get down low, because it always makes for interesting composition, and I need to grab my focus tool, which is the little square tool, and just focus that on the edge of the sandcastle. Get in nice and close, get on the edge, and look at that in the distance. We've got the nice colour of the happy family playing in the distance, and that really adds to this lovely summer scene on the beach. Yeah, I'm happy with that photograph. And again, here we can use the rule of thirds. Can you see that the horizon is right on that top line of thirds, which again is making for an interesting picture. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you've learned some great and very easy ways of creating great photos on your iPhone. It really is that easy. Subscribe now to AdoramaTV, and once you do, you'll find more fantastic information on all our products and much more. We are here to help and inform you, so send us your comments, like and share our videos. We want your feedback. Also, for more, please visit the Adorama Learning Centre. It's packed full of great tutorials, information and tips on all our products. See you next time, and bye for now.
Do you want great looking prints at low cost? Be sure to visit our easy to use online printing service. Adorama Pix has professionals who treat your images with the utmost care that you can count on. For a quick turnaround on photos, cards, or albums, use AdoramaPix.com.